The room was painted matte black, the lights providing a contrast to the darkness, and a man sitting before a huge canvas, holding a paintbrush while stroking an art on the piece of cardboard. He was so immersed in his work that no sound or movement could interrupt him. Mesmerized by the beauty of the girl he was painting on the canvas, his eyes could stare at her forever and would still ask for more. It had been hours. He was in that room, taking his painting to the level of perfection. He was a professional painter who had won medals on national and international levels. His family had this talent of painting, and it passed down on him unsurprisingly. He felt a hand running down his chest. He certainly missed the sound of door opening or the person coming inside. His hand stopped its work as he focused on the touch on his body. You have been here for hours, sweetheart. Her voice, that sounded like a melody to him. Her touch he could live with forever. It was crazy how insanely he was in love with her and found his peace in her. Come out, have dinner with me. Vine hugged him from behind, keeping her eyes off the canvas to keep it a surprise for herself. She kissed Jungkook's cheek, then jaw, and then his neck while he accepted the affection happily. Placing down his art equipment, he held her arms, moving her in front of him. Her back faced the canvas, and he finally saw the beauty in real rather than a painting in the canvas. Jungkook, now I need one more hour. She shook her head and took off his apron. Wine, yes, now. After that, we are watching a movie, and then I need my cuddles. Finish it tomorrow, please. Oh, who was he to reject that magic word? Accepting his defeat, he got off the stool and stretched it back. Picking her up in his arms, he stepped out of the room. She chuckled, cupping his cheeks, and kissed him once. It was a short one, but enough to show him that his move made her happy. Jungkook, oh, I can make sure you never have to walk on your feet, if that's what makes you happy. Ryan, I believe you can do that. He grinned and reached the dining table, putting her down on the chair, and took a seat beside her. Ryan served him and then herself. Jungkook and Ryan have been in a relationship for the past 2 years now. They met in their university senior years. Jungkook was her senior and graduated 1 year ahead of her. He daily picked and dropped her off at the university for the whole year. She recently graduated and was now applying for jobs. He supported her to his best. All the while he took on his profession of painting. He was a famous artist with a huge demand in the market. His exhibitions had always gained the eyes of true art lovers and other artists who understood it well. He was financially quite stable, could be considered a really wealthy man, considering his family background, which is filled with businessmen and amazing successful artists like him. He himself was doing financially well, considering the demand of his art that reached the wealthy businessmen and multimillionaires. Also, the media that most of the times covered his exhibitions due to his popularity as a young and handsome artist, which took the hearts of the people. But only a few were allowed inside to keep the place decent and silent for the guests. Jungkook, I have an exhibition coming up. and I plan on introducing you as my girlfriend and reveal the painting I have been preparing of you. But of course, that's only if you're comfortable. Wine. So that keeps all those girls away from you? I am in, she joked, and he took it well, guessing by his gummy smile that reached his eyes. Jungkook, does that make you jealous? Ryan, well, not when I know whom you actually belong to. She winked, and Jungkook smirked proudly, eating up his food all the while praising her cooking. Jungkook, the girl who got my eyes, my attention, and all of me only to herself. She got flustered. The red on her cheeks was a proof, and he grunted in response. Jungkook, God, Ryan, do you have any idea how utterly ravishing you are? I believe. She smiled while looking at him with love in her eyes. My boyfriend tells me that daily. The two finished their meal, had a little walk, then cleaned up the dishes together, and were now cuddled up in his bed while a romantic animated movie played on the screen. They're called Your Name. He huddled her up in his embrace, her body almost disappearing in his massive arms. She played with the locket he wore, and he rolled his fingers around her hair. Ryan, imagine. If you wake up one day and you will be in my body like this. She pointed at the screen where the main male and female lead had their bodies exchanged. Jungkook, I'm going to stare in the mirror for as long as I can. She laughed and hit his bicep. Ryan, pervert. Jungkook, that's called admiring the beauty. Ryan, it's not yours, so that's still a very pervert move. She teased. Jungkook, well, it belongs to someone I own, so it automatically belongs to me. Ryan, you know your ways, she mumbled. Jungkook, and I'd rather have you in your own body, so I can admire you with my naked eyes, instead of staring at the mirror. He held her chin and kissed her deeply, his hand sliding under her shirt, feeling her bare skin, and she kissed him back, the movie playing in the background, but the two were too lost in their own love to focus on that. A week passed by. It was the day of the exhibition. The tickets were sold out, and the media covered the building as always. The reach was insane, and entrance was filled with reporters. Jungkook had announced that he had a special event, and everyone was extra excited for whatever the event was about. The inside was rather peaceful and quiet. The huge and luxurious interior, filled in his art and people strolling around, admiring it quietly, was always such a beautiful sight for him. The people greeted him with such manners and admiration in their eyes. The art was amazing, but the artist was the embodiment of beauty himself. The exhibition continued for the next few hours. The painting sold, and before it ended, he had every piece of his art already sold out. It was not unusual he done that. He walked to the front and clicked a spoon with a glass of champagne to gain the attention of the people inside the building. There were only three cameramen inside as allowed by the agency, and they had strict orders to make sure they made no noise and disturbed no guests. Jungkook, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? He handed the glass back to his manager, who stepped away once he received everyone's attention. Jungkook, I have always held a huge liking towards the deepness hidden behind the art. It's marvelous to see people who hold the same eye as you. Accept my gratitude towards you for admiring and understanding the emotions that needs attention that most of the times are overlooked in today's busy world. Jungkook, tonight I have decided to introduce you all to a most beautiful part of this little artist who has become a huge inspiration behind these emotions resulting in the paintings you people admire and to create your places with. He took a step back, stepping beside a huge canvas that was covered with a red, huge colored cloth. He removed it and watched it smoothly drop down on the floor, revealing the painting he had put the most hard work in. The painting of his girlfriend, Vian, who loved with all his heart and soul. Jungkook, she is Vian, the girl who stole my heart, provided it with love and heaven, and fixed it back in my ribcage. I welcome her in my life and as a biggest part to stand beside me in my career as well. He extended his hand, and Vian, who was almost too drowned in her emotions, put a soft smile and came forward holding it. Jungkook wrapped his arm around her waist, and the sound of applause filled the venue, as everyone welcomed her with love and admired her for being a reason behind such amazing art. She thanked everyone who greeted her, and as time passed by, she stayed beside Jungkook, who kept his arm around her waist securely. Jungkook's manager came and informed him about people demanding his paintings, which were already sold out, and how they were ready to pay in double only to get them made for them again. Vine pecked his lips, the pride reflecting her eyes, and she was so glad to be a witness of his hard work, his growth, struggles, and his success. Jungkook, don't be like this, or I'm going to bury you right now. Vine, then who will get on his knees and prepare a fireworks show to propose me? She chuckled. It was exactly how Jungkook told her he would do, and sometimes he regretted it because all he wanted to do now was run away to Lars, grab some papers, and wife her right now. Jungkook, I am a man of his words. Wine, and I am a woman who waits for his man to fulfill his words. He groaned, and she laughed even more, pinching his cheeks once. Jungkook, I love you, to the moon and back. Kissing her forehead, the two headed home after the event, and Jungkook prepared dinner for her himself and served her. It was crazy outside, with the headlines about the youngest and the most famous artist revealing his girlfriend. But it was too peaceful in their little space when they turned off their cell phones and celebrated his success together.